Good day, everybody. My name is Safe, or Safe Journey, and I'd like to show you guys how I do, or how I like to polish out my 45s on stainless steel grain. The piece I'm going to be doing it on is actually a piece of 16 gauge. It's 3 by half by half. It's just an average frame that I generally do for my type of work here. I think it's a little bit harder than doing on tubing. I think tubing is actually pretty easy with the grain, the way the grain comes factory. It's a lot easier to polish out versus a sheet that you got to cut the size and cut your miters in. Some of the tools that I like to use here, I prefer using these. There's two of them. I got a little 2-inch. This is a little 3-inch. The 3-inch is good on something a little bit bigger, just because it's got a little bit more flex. But it also, versus the grinder, it's a little bit smaller space, so you can only just get, you're not overworking it. When you start overworking it, then your piece is just basically ruined. You don't even want to deal with it. Some of the wheels that I use, and I like to use these little wheels, spindle wheels here. This is, I think, a 1-inch by 3-inch. This is an 80 grit. I'll go 80 or 60 grit with these. This is where I define my line real quick, and it just gets that grain to be even. So I'm matching the grain with the factory grain that's in the piece of metal that I'm working on. These are pretty good to have. After I usually use those, I will switch to a wheel like this, which is, I think it's like a 120 grit sandpaper with some Scotch-Brite in between. These are really good for like finding it out. And I generally prefer to brush outward, not into so much, just because it's like I want to feather it out. Kind of like shading. If you took a pencil and just kind of did a dark area and then pushed it with your thumb, and you're just trying to blend it right out, that's exactly what you're going to be doing with this. And then I like to finish it off with a little, also depends. Like tubing, I generally don't use these, but when I'm working on like a frame or something like that, where it's off of a sheet of metal, I like to hit it with these. This is a medium kind of Scotch-Brite wheel, and then I have a, where's she? Then I got this one here. It's a very extra fine, super fine. You can tell I don't really use it that often, but it works. It's pretty good if you just got to quickly tap something off, maybe even on an end of metal where if you're grinding it and leave a little burn mark, it's kind of good just to hit the edge real quick. These are nice. I usually don't finish out with any kind of Scotch-Brite pads of any sort, whether it's maroon, dark, or anything. I usually don't, but sometimes you just might have to go and brush it out real quick. So I will use these. And I do prefer a corded drill. I love the RPMs on this. You're not going to get the RPMs like this on a battery drill. You can use a battery drill. I'm not saying you can't, but I definitely prefer a corded drill. Plus it's got the little lock on there. You can just work it how you need to work it. But yes, these are the tools that I'll be using. And I will do my best to describe of how I like to do it. There are many, many ways of doing this. Some people use tape for their miter to get that 45 look and that crispy line. I don't use tape. I will use things like this. I make out of like 20 gauge stainless. I'll even go thinner if I need to. I usually try not going thicker than 20 gauge, but tape costs money. And I hate the adhesive that deals with the tape. I just don't like it blended into my metal, and I don't want it near my metal. So I like to use these stainless steel ones. I just cut my own 45s when I know it's a 45, and I can really get my line a lot smoother, a lot crispier. It gets a nice little bevel. Sometimes if you want to hit it with a grinder real quick, just to give it that extra bevel first, you can do that. But these things here are pretty much already paid for, and then you can just cash them in. So you'd rather get paid versus losing money on tape. So that's why I use these, and I don't like tape. All right, so let's say we gear up here and get going on this. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with like a 80 grit here. I'm just gonna kind of get in there and not do too much. Just a quick breakdown of the weld itself. You don't really want to press too hard. You're not trying to actually gouge into it. You want to make sure that this stays as flat as possible if you were to put a square across there or any straight edge. And you can see I kind of make sure the wheels are trying to go with the way the grain is going to be set into this 45. And here I'm going to show you guys like how to like ping this out if there's any little low spots. This inside corner, thankfully, actually has a low spot, so I can show you this. I will actually put a piece of aluminum underneath. And you can clamp it like this, but it is actually better for a piece of aluminum on there or any other piece of metal. That way it just covers a little bit of surface area and definitely keeps your piece a little flatter. So remember, you don't want to gouge it down. You want to make sure that you put a straight edge across and make sure it's nice and flat. I do have this little piece of stainless. I think it's stainless. I know it's a little bar that I took years ago, and I use this to ping it down. Try to get as flat as possible around the weld from the backside on the aluminum, because aluminum will press in. Then we're just going to go back in real quick. Hit that. And like I said, we're going to go with the way the grain goes. It is going to set you up with your wheels. I'll even take down on my little 2-inch here on like I think this is a 120. It's either 120 or a 180. Heck, I'll even use a 240 if it's there. Just a little something just to break away some of the heavier grind marks. Remember, we're not trying to gouge this. We're just trying to scratch it up. And you can see here, I'm really just using more circular motion. It covers a little bit more, but then we're going to grab our wheel, and we're going to start this without anything on there first. No guide, no nothing. This way here, I get at least half of it pretty much already set up. It works a little faster if you have nothing in your way. And it just makes you a little bit more efficient on getting these done if you had to do it. So it just becomes a habit for me. I mean, you can see how nice it really blends in. And I use a circular motion a little bit versus just straight back and forth. Sometimes if you go straight back and forth, you're actually making a low spot. So circular motions, not as much. Just make sure you don't really press too hard. Remember, we're just using the wheels. Let the wheel do the work. Otherwise, what's the point of having a tool? You can see I got this going pretty good. I go over to 45 just a slight bit. This is a pretty worn out wheel. I'm just kind of blending it in. I know I was talking about going out, but this here we're going to go inward with it just to start it off. So we're going to find this here spot with this piece. Sometimes the clamps, you got to make sure your clamps aren't really in your way when you're doing this. I'll even draw a line here because this inside corner is a little bit more rounded than I prefer, but it's there. Or at least draw a little spot to know exactly where roughly my center is on this 45. Line it up nice. And we're going to give ourselves a little like 1/16 of an inch or so, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, just because between the space between the piece, your 45 piece, and your piece itself, and the way the wheel comes off, it's not going to be right on that line. So you're going to be back a little bit. And we're going to work this way. And we're going to run it outside of our piece. And like I said, I still use circular motions for most of it. You can go straight back and forth. You'll see sometimes I do go back and forth a little bit, but do not press. I'll say that many times. Just don't press. You just let the wheel do the work. Now we're going to grab this other wheel as I just defined the other one. And I'm just going to keep it on the same spot. So we're going to work this one spot here first. This way here, I'm just blending it out now. Now I'm just blending the piece. Then we're going to switch it off. We're going to put another one on the other side. And see, you already have it half done. So now this process is going to go by a lot faster. So like I said, when you start doing something like this, it just, everybody's got their own way of doing it. I like doing this way first because it does get my pieces done a lot faster. Throw this little wheel back on. I think this one here is a tighter wheel. It's just a little bit more brand new. And if they're brand new, they really cut in there and scratch it in there. So I'm just defining this backside of the line. This is where I'm going to really get that 45 straight line, and you're not going to have so much brushed back and forth look on it. And we're going to grab this wheel again, and we'll go back into it. And see, I'm just brushing. I'm just kind of like going down and letting up. I'm not really brushing too hard into it. Is the wheels worn out, you can get a little more pressure, but now I'm going to go and fine this out. We're just going to take this Scotch-Brite pad style wheel, and we're going to brush it outward. And that side's done, just like that. And we're going to, oh, look at that, 45's already starting to form. And you can see I still leave a little space for every wheel I use. I'm going to try to fill this on here. Nice. And we're going to go back in with this wheel real quick, just to give it a little quick brush. Sometimes when you put these stainless things on, it might give a little, not scratch spots, but a little off spots. So just hit it with a quick brush. And then now we're going to go and really try to brush this out. We can use these wheels, these Scotch-Brite wheels, in a reverse. They used to make the other wheel with a sandpaper and Scotch-Brite in a reverse motion. But here we go. And she's all set and done and looking not too bad. I think it could be a little bit better, but it's not too bad. Got a nice little blend. All right, thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys have learned something. Hopefully I even learned something afterwards. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast through this. I do talk really fast, and I apologize for that. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out. I wish I could see more videos on polishing. There's so many different methods, so many different tools out there to do this. You definitely don't have to do it my way, but this is how I do it. It's more efficient for me to do this way. If you guys have any ideas on watching me doing this and you got something else that you think, oh, you know, you should try this, let me know. So if you guys have any questions on sheet metal, I have about 20 years on sheet metal alone. Very little structural, but yeah, sheet metal is definitely my thing. I love it. Or anything under 1/2 inch thick. I got a lot more fabrication. I've been fabricating for 23 years and welding about 18. I did a lot of HVAC work when I first started out, but yeah, so if you guys have any questions, whether even if it's just basic stuff, feel free to ask, really. But thank you for watching. I really do hope it helped you out, and you guys enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your work day, whatever this video kind of gets out there and I can finish my editing. But yeah, enjoy. I really do hope it helps out. My name is Safe Journey, by the way, and see ya.